current sophomores or juniors, and you guys come down a little bit later. This is only going to take us about 15 minutes. Okay? So, first things first, required sophomore classes. You're going to be very inclined throughout this presentation to look out at your sheet, fill out your sheet, talk to your friends about what they're doing or what they think about different things that I say. Keep it quiet, keep it focused up here. You will have plenty of time to talk to your friends, to look at your sheet. It just gets chaotic and crazy. We're trying to do all of that at once, okay? So first things first, you guys have 4 required classes, okay? The first is English. You will either be taking sophomore English or pre-AP English, okay? With pre-AP, there is like a summer assignment and there are requirements that you have to meet in order to be a part of pre-AP English. And so keep that in mind. There's like summer reading and writing and so on and so on. So if you're wanting to have a little bit more of an advanced or accelerated English class, just know your summer will be taken up using or completing some of those requirements. You guys have your first required history class and social studies class, and that is world history. So all sophomores will take world history. You guys will have a math class that you're required to take. Depending on the math class that you're currently in, that will determine what math class you guys take next year. Okay, so for example, if you are currently in pre-algebra, okay, you will take Algebra 1 next year. If you're in Algebra 1, you'll take geometry. If you're in geometry, you'll take Algebra 2, okay, and so on and so on. That being said, if you did not pass, okay, both or one of the semesters of your math class, you might be doubling up on math next year, okay? Or potentially, you could be having to retake pre-algebra altogether because you failed the semester of pre-algebra. So depending on what happens with your math, okay, both last semester and this semester, that will determine next year. You guys will be taking biology, so biology is your next science class. You are required to take physical science and also required to take biology. After that, the science class that you choose for like your third year or your junior year is up to you, but you have to take biology. As far as electives, you guys can consider either like the year-long electives or the semester-long electives, okay? We'll talk about like the X's and the different ways that you fill out your sheet here in a second, but there's also going to be this like elective slideshow that has some posters and has some infographics with some more information about each of the different classes, okay? Because typically we get people in our office and people are asking questions such as, you know, what do I do for lifetime fitness, or what do I do for human anatomy and physiology, okay? We have a general idea of like what the class is like meant to entail or like meant to include, but we don't know things like if your teacher's going to do presentations, if you're going to do lots of projects or lots of worksheets, what type of like core things you're going to learn in that class sometimes. So this elective slideshow will basically just help you get a better sense or a better idea of those things. Your elective options expand exponentially, okay, when you guys go into your sophomore year. As freshmen, you guys have maybe about like 15 to 20 electives that you can actually choose from. If you guys look at your green sheets now, you guys have like an entire page, right? So lots more options. So hopefully this elective slideshow can help you kind of sort through some of those options.
If there's a P after the choice, it has a prerequisite. So you might want to look and see what that means.
Yeah, and the student handbook and then also some of like those posters and flyers will tell you what the prerequisite is for that class. So some classes you can't just take. Like for art, for example, if you want to take photo imaging, which is like a photography class, or if you want to take intermediate 2D or 3D art, you have to take art, design, and fundamentals first. Okay, so if you're looking at your sheet and you're interested in the class but it has a P, you're going to have to consider whether or not you have that prerequisite. And Zello will also tell you. If you try to select your class and it has like a little red dot, that means that you don't have the prerequisite that you need in order to take that class. Okay? Finally, you guys have certain required electives that you need to graduate, right? So everyone in this room has to take a semester of social studies, some type of social studies elective. Some of you guys have taken current events or religions or world geography, those all count. But this year you guys also have the option to take psychology or sociology. And I'll also talk about how those can be dual credit options next year. You guys have a fine arts credit that you need. That's 1 full year, okay, or 2 semesters of some type of fine art. Some of you guys are not like the artsy types and you're like, man, I really don't want to get this fine art credit, but you can get it through things like woodworking, video production, other things as well. If you're in band, you already have it. If you've been in a drama class, you already have it, so on and so on. You guys will eventually have to do speech, okay? Speech is just 1 semester. Everyone has to do a speech requirement. You guys have to do a full year of STEM, okay? Which for that, if you're planning on going to college or planning on taking like a 4th year of science or math, that will automatically fill your STEM requirement, so you don't have to go seek that out as much. But if you're having to look for something to fill STEM, that Microsoft Certification Academy class counts, Intro to Engineering counts, Advanced Video Production, Automotive 2, so if you're in Automotive 1 this year and you like Automotive 1, you can do Automotive 2 next year. And lastly, financial literacy. Okay? okay? We typically don't recommend financial literacy for sophomores unless you're trying to get it in so you can go to WC Tech or something later, like you don't think you're going to have a lot of extra space in your schedule later. But financial literacy, we like you to take a little bit closer to graduation because you tend to care a little bit more about your finances in your adulthood at that point. Okay, in addition to the requirements that you have to get academically, before you graduate, you also have to get 2 of what we call post-secondary assets, okay? One of these will happen automatically, and that is the senior project, or like the senior exit interview. You'll do that your senior year with your advisory teacher, okay? So really, from this list, you only have to get 1 more. A lot of you guys are very involved in the school, so you guys might do the 2+ high school athletics and activities. So if you do band and you do track, if you do color guard and you do bowling or swim, or football and wrestling, whatever it is, that can count. 90% attendance, so if you're someone who shows up pretty regularly, all you have to do is show up 90% of your high school career. You can get that as well. 40+ hours of community service.
State assessments are going to be
Eventually you guys will take state assessments. If you get a certain state assessment score, that can count. If you get a 21 on your ACT, which is what you need to get into a lot of Division I colleges, like K-State or Shaw State, that will also count. As far as college credit, some of you guys might be familiar about this. You guys might have upperclassmen friends who take lots of college credit classes so that they can work ahead or kind of get ahead on their future degree or program. It is not typically encouraged, okay, for sophomores to take college credit classes, but there are obviously exceptions. So for example, like I said, in WC Tech, if you feel like you might do WC Tech later on for the next 2 years and you might not have a lot of chances to get some college credit classes here in this building, or you know you want to go do automotive and get an associate's degree in automotive technology, one of the things that they require is like a psychology or sociology class. So maybe you want to get that out of the way next year, and in the next 2 years you guys can go to WC Tech and do all that. Maybe you're trying to work ahead on like your general education requirements for college, but the big thing and the big reason we don't typically encourage it is because that goes on your college transcript for forever. Okay, so a class you take when you are 15 goes on your college transcript and it cannot come off. Okay?
Not even if you retake it. A lot of kids think that if you fail a class and then you retake it, we will replace your grade. It doesn't work like that. The F is always there.
So that would be like another instance in which you could probably email one of us or email your counselor to talk about like, hey, is this the right fit for me? Should I take this class for dual credit? What would be the benefits or the cons of doing so? Lastly, certain CTE courses are also available for sophomores to take for dual credit. So like financial literacy, aviation fundamentals, hand and power tools, some of those classes, automotive.
woodworking, right? Woodworking. CTE, college credit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next thing, choosing classes. The biggest thing sophomore year that we say is like, this is your opportunity to explore, right? Freshman year, you guys did not have a lot of elective options or a lot of choices. Like, it's gonna matter, but not as many as you have right now. So try some different things out. Don't get so caught into one path or so aligned with one path that you're only seeing this and you miss out on all of the rest of the things that high school has to offer. You guys can look at the curriculum guide again on like the counseling website, and that will give the description of the different classes or the elective slideshow. And then you guys are going to basically be using your enrollment sheet to make X's next to the classes that you want to take. Okay? On your enrollment sheet, if a class has 2 lines next to it, that means it's a year-long class, and you have to take it for both semesters. If it just has one little dash, that means it's a semester-long class, and you only have to take it for 1 semester.
Except for one mistake we made, walking for wellness. We'll talk about it in a second. That does not have to be a 3-year class.
Okay, if you are interested in advanced weights, so if you take strength and conditioning over here and you want to do advanced weights next year, you'll just fill out strength and conditioning on your sheet like normal, and then you'll send you an application to apply for advanced weights because you have to get prior approval for that. Same thing for lifetime fitness. You can mark it on your sheet, but you'll be getting an email with an application asking you to fill that out in order for you to get into the class. So do not mark those things down unless you are planning on filling out the application and willing to do that. That means you have to check your emails, okay, for those of you guys that haven't email inbox of 5,000, okay, that means you have to check your email and make sure you're paying attention to that. Okay, so some newer classes. Some of you guys are familiar with World Geography or might have taken World Geography. That's a class that just started this year. Music Appreciation, which again is like a dual credit class. So you can take that for high school credit and for college credit. Again, with Music Appreciation, that's a class that a lot of times you guys are going to need if you're really going to college or doing any type of post-secondary program. There's normally like a music or art appreciation class that you'll have to take. Photo imaging, which is a photography class, you have to take art design and fundamentals first. Graphic design, so you make little graphics. Hornet print design, so you print on things, so like t-shirts, cups, posters, all that good stuff. There's an agricultural block as well that you guys can take if you're interested in agriculture. This is at Sedgwick, so you would leave the school for 3 hours each day. You go take a couple ag classes at Sedgwick and then come back. So we don't have any type of ag program here. So if you're interested in that, and that might be a potential career option you want to explore, that is also there. Culinary art is now year long, so if you took a culinary class this year and you really, really liked it, culinary arts is a 2-semester culinary class that's a little bit more advanced. New classes for next year, so these have never been on the enrollment sheet before. There is walking for wellness. So sometimes we have people that want to get some type of physical activity or exercise, but they might not necessarily like the intensity of strength and conditioning or a team sport. Just kind of want to walk or kind of want to vibe. So with Walking for Wellness, that's what that is. It's a semester-long class, and that's the class that Mr. McDonald mentioned with those 2 lines on the enrollment sheet. You'll just put an X on one of those 2 lines. Okay. Investing. So a lot of people now know that you can, become very wealthy through investing your money in appropriately accordingly, right? So investing would go through like the basics of how to do that, and different like funds and things like that you can put your money into. There's also sports and entertainment marketing. So we have like a regular marketing class, but this one is directed specifically towards sports and entertainment. Okay, so you might need assistance with enrollment and might need to reach out to one of your counselors if you transfer to VCHS from another school, okay? Because sometimes your transcript kind of transfers weirdly over to Zello, and so you might need our help with that. If you need modified classes, if you're in a modified core class, we've already put that on your schedule, and that will have a little walk sign next to it, which means it cannot go away unless we take it away, okay? But we won't take it away if we do, okay? If you failed multiple classes, so if you failed a semester of physical science, a semester of math, a semester of woodworking, okay, I don't know, one other class, okay, you might need our help enrolling because in addition to seeing like English 10, Science 10, Math 10, okay, you're also going to see Math 9, English 9, Science 9, okay, so it's going to be a little bit more busy. But just email one of us and we can get you called down and we can help you enroll, okay? So whenever you guys go into your Zello, it's very important that whenever you fill out your little green sheet, you also have your Zello pulled up because your Zello will tell you exactly what you need to add to your green sheet, okay? So for example, you're just going to start at the top and be like, okay, I need English 10. Am I going to take sophomore English or pre-AP? Okay, and you'll mark that on your sheet and you'll select that in Zello. Same thing with math and so on, so on. The purple little ones down there are like those requirements that you need before you graduate. So those are like your year independent requirements. And then you guys are also going to select 2 alternate classes or credits, okay? So those classes are important because if your first choices are full, like let's say 32 people wanted photo imaging and you can only have 28, okay, then there could be the potential that you get put in one of your alternate courses or classes. So don't just pick alternates that you're like, okay, whatever, I'm not going to get this. Like make sure you actually would be willing to take that class or course. Otherwise, you're going to be putting us at the beginning of the semester for schedule changes. Okay, so when you are done, you should have 14 X's on your enrollment sheet and also 4 A's for those alternate classes, okay? So 7 and 7, 7 classes first semester, 7 classes second semester equal those 14 total X's. You need to have this signed by your parents, okay, and brought back to your advisory teacher by February 20th. Okay, in addition to that, you also need to click submit on your course planner and your Zello by February 20th. Okay, so you guys have plenty of time to to have those conversations with your friends, with your teachers, with us. Okay, get your Zello. Bill has a lunch to do. Okay, hopefully you guys know this already, but if you don't because you're freshmen, maybe you haven't seen us yet. Hey, these are your counselors, okay? So make sure you email the appropriate party if you guys have any questions or concerns, okay? So, before you guys move, does anyone have any questions for the good of the group? Okay, if you've already taken biology, because you took physical science in 8th grade, you took biology this year, and they'll just go into whatever you want for third science. You'll have to figure that as a elective. Okay, any other questions? Not here. Okay,
Thank you.